Hello, everyone. You're welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner, Meet the Author, and I am so pleased to be with you here today. My name is Cece Shatz, and I am the Doyenne of Relationship Building. And those of you are probably thinking, whoa, what is a Doyenne? Well, a Doyenne is a connector, and that's what we do here on the Going Solo Network. We bring you awesome individuals to connect with each and every time, and we're so pleased to be able to do that. And let's do our homework. You guys know that our website is goingsolomedia.com, and you can reach me on goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. Those of you that have listened to me before, I want to thank you so much for tuning in each and every time. We love you so much for doing that. And we want to support you and know that the shows that we're bringing to you are ones that are going to help you. So just give us a shout out. Let us know what is good for you, what you'd like to listen to, and we'll be sure to bring them on for you. So let's get on to business. Let's talk about our wonderful author we have here today. And you know me, I'm going to probably mess up her name, so please forgive me, but let's bring her right here forward. Hello, how are you?
Hello, Cece. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is great to have you. Now we have Adriana Garzoni.
Gavazzoni.
Gavazzoni, a beautiful, and it sounds so beautiful, and obviously must be Italian, right? Italian name.
It
So
is Italian, yes.
it's gorgeous. But tell us a little bit about yourself, because I found you're very fascinating because you're an attorney, right? And but you have written these wonderful books, and we've got them up there. It's called The Sketchers of Life, Laura's Journal, and The Brilliant Game. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your passion for writing.
Well, Cece, I'm a Brazilian writer. I've been a lawyer for 30 years, a long time. And 5 years ago, when I was right in the crisis of middle life crisis, I decided to fulfill my dream of writing a novel. I started with Behind the Door, and now I already have four published novels. And I just finished one more that is going to be released in some time. So to write is really a passion for me. It's really a way to express myself, to put my feelings, to melt my soul on the paper, or better, on the screen.
That's amazing. And I do, forgive me, so you're Brazilian, so that's probably your heritage. But it's amazing that for me, because I'm not a writer, okay, so I'm more of a talker, right? So I'm not really a writer, but it's hard for me to be able to sit and let that expression flow on the paper. And for you to be able to do that, it to me is just so amazing that you're able to do that and do it so well. So do you have any training in writing, or is it just something that you said, I'm going to write a book someday?
I believe my training for writing comes from my legal career. In Brazil, the defenses are written defenses. We have to write the stories of our clients for judges, and it gives us a great ability to tell stories. Of course, after deciding to write a book, I started to do some online courses about creative writing. But when you are a lawyer in Brazil or wherever, I think it's the same, you are a storyteller. You need to tell your story for judges, jurors. It's a matter of convincing them about your characters or clients. So I had a long experience that allowed me to write.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I thought I shut it off. We're having a crazy day today. Yeah, it's amazing because when I read something and it transforms me, right? And it transforms me into that, that situation or that book that I'm reading. And again, I step back and I'm just amazed at how technical it is. So when you're writing a book, such as and we'll go in and talk about your different books that you've written and the plots, a little bit of what they are. But when you go into writing a book, do you have to do a tremendous amount of research to be able to really kind of get not only just the story, but you have to get that feeling of where you're at? So how do you go about doing that?
Yes, when I was just a reader, I used to think that authors would open a screen or use a typewriter or whatever, and they would just let flow and music would sing on their ears, and everything was going to be like that, like magic. It's not really like that. You have a line for your story, but you need tons of research. It depends on the line of the story. It's 50% of the work is research. My first trilogy, for example, the main character is a psychiatrist, and I'm a lawyer. I had to study a lot, really, really, really had to do lots of hard research to compose that character. Every advice she gives to her patients, I needed to support that with thesis. And so I was, at some point, I was studying psychology a lot to compose that character. And it was very good for my life because I understood many things I couldn't understand before. But yes, it requires lots of research if you don't want to mislead your reader. Your reader must trust you. It's fiction, but there is a limit for fiction. You need to give true informations when you are talking about true things. So it requires a good amount of research.
Yeah, because I would think there'd have to be a connection. Like you can say some things, and when the reader's reading it, they know they're reading a fiction novel. So maybe there's things, but some things have to be kind of real for you because you walk in those steps, right? As you're turning each page, as you're going through each paragraph you're reading, you're actually walking in the steps of the characters. So you have to, have you envision yourself there, and so the writing has to be such where it actually places you there. It truly is an art. I mean, I just admire.
Yeah, you have to incarnate your character to give him or she real emotions. If you don't feel the emotion you are trying to show to the readers, you are not going to be able to show those emotions. You have to feel it. So while I'm writing, I feel anger. I feel everything my character is going through on that moment. It's really a process of incarnation of incorporating your character some way, but also of giving true elements.
Mhm. So how long does it take you to actually write the book? So when you decide, I would think just forming the idea of the actual book itself probably takes some time for you to do that. But then so how much time would that take? Like if you're forming the idea of a book.
For me, it's a different kind of process. I usually have the beginning of the book. I know the story I want to tell, and I let it flow. I don't plan that much. It allows me to change a lot while I'm writing. But my first book took me 6 months. My second book around that, and it's much bigger. It's bigger than the first one. The third one took me a little bit more, like 8 months, because I was going through some personal issues, some family problems. So it took me more time. The first book, I was still on that personal crisis, and it took me a year. The last one, 6 months. But after it was ready, I decided to change it a little bit. So I went all again from the beginning, and I added some more chapters that I think were important for the story. But I usually let it flow. It's better. I write mystery, I write thrillers. So my readers always say, "Oh, I can't guess who the killer is because I don't know until the end." I plan for 3 or 4 characters to be the suspects, but I can't choose until I'm I'm almost in the end of the book.
That's amazing. That's amazing because it is true that when you're reading a thriller like that, you're the reader's mind, we're thinking about who it was, and then when you introduce different characters, it does make the plot thicken, so to speak, so we say, and so we're always trying to figure out who the killer is or what the ending is going to be. We try to guess the ending before it happens, right? And that's what makes it fun is when we realize that we don't know anything till after we read the very last of
Yeah,
it.
because I don't know. One day, one reader told me, "Oh, I knew from the beginning who was the killer," and I said, "How come? Because I didn't." Oh, Peter, yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. All right, let's go through each of the books that I've written. I've just got 3 of them up here, but you said there's 4 of them, so we'll talk about that. But I've got the Sketches of Life. So tell us a little bit about that book.
Sketches of Life is the last one. It's a book that has a historical background. It is an action mystery book. It's about a girl who lost all her family, everything during World War II, and she becomes a secret agent, a sniper, and she travels the world chasing criminals. So her life is full of adventure. And in the middle of all that adventure, she must find herself because she's a little bit lost because everything she lose during her whole life. There is another girl. She's a French American girl, born in France from an American father and a French mother, and she also suffers the consequences of the Great World War, and she's very young, she's 16, and she needs to grow up fast to face all that, to face a world in change. Her life is changing. Every day is a surprise, and she needs to take care of her mother. Her mother is ill, so it shows things that really happen in history when someone in real lives when someone is faced with challenges. You have 2 options. You can give up, be depressed and cry or finish your own life, or you can survive, do your best to adapt and lead your life the best way you can. So it's a book about surviving, it's a book about adapting and enjoying the best you can of your life, even if everything around you is falling apart.
Hmm. Wow, that's amazing. Because we do learn so much from the books. Even if they're fiction, there's elements within that I think we not only escape our own lives, but we can grow from within too when we're reading them. Because they can be very inspirational to us when we read books of other people's heartaches and difficulties, and they've actually been able to overcome some of those things. So yeah, that's very interesting. So tell us about Laura's journal.
Laura's Journal is the second book in my Hidden Motives trilogy. It starts with Behind the Door, then Lara's Journal, and The Brilliant Game is the last one. This is a psychological and erotical trilogy. It tells the story of a man. He kills his girlfriend during a sex game, and he hires a psychiatrist to help him buttress his case. Sorry, who hires him is a lawyer to help him defend the killer who killed the girlfriend. So the psychiatrist that deals day by day with uh, patients that have a different sexual behavior is going to try to help this lawyer to defend his client, to say it was just a sex game and it was not a cold murder. But suddenly there is a serial killer killing women, and those uh, those uh, those deaths come to the door of the psychiatrist. So we are talking about mystery, thriller, a little bit of erotica, because as the psychiatrist helps patients with different sexual behavior, she receives every day a different sexual behavior to treat. But it's not 50 Shades. It's not Cinderella. It's really about murder and mystery.
I would say there's probably some fun research on that book. So,
Yes, that one. I had to research first of all about different sexual behaviors.
mhm.
And oh my God, I was amazed. I could even imagine some. There is a great book called Dictionary of Sexual Behavior, and you're going to find like thousands of different behaviors of considered non-normal behaviors. I have to research criminal minds, how a serial killer works, what makes you a normal killer or a serial killer. So I studied tons of articles from FBI, and I have a friend, he's a former special agent from FBI. He helped me a lot about legal scenes, how FBI works. So everything you find on my books about FBI is real. It really happens. And the research was really 50% of the job, I think.
Mhm.
Hard work.
Yeah, that would be a lot of work because it's definitely things that you're not familiar with. Maybe the legal part of it a little bit, but all the other aspects of it, you wouldn't. You would have to learn about all of those things to be able to put them into a book. So, and then you have was there another one after that, or I know I have the orders incorrect. So the Brilliant Game.
Is the last one. The Brilliant Game is the last one in the Hidden Motives trilogy.
Okay.
It's called Hidden Motives because of all that cauldron of flavors. What I want to convey was never judge. You don't know what that person have lived, have experienced, what that person has of traumas, dramas. So don't judge. Everything has a hidden motive. And the first one is Sketches of Life, and I've just concluded Life Has Other Plans. It is the sequel to Sketches of Life, but it shows the more we plan, the more life shows us we have no control about anything in our lives.
That's so true. That is so true. And it is true with regards to the fact that you shouldn't judge people, judge circumstances or anything like that because you don't know what other people are experiencing at that very moment. And so you have no idea what they've gone through to even get here where they are today, right? So it's definitely true. Yeah, I think these are all very good. Now, did I miss a book? Did I miss one?
No, no, no.
Okay, so there are three books then. So what is
Three
it?
bucks in the trilogy, one independent, and now the second.
Right, okay. And so what's in store for us in the future from you? Do you know? Have you thought of more books or?
Well, I have a grasshopper inside my mind, so it's always jumping and giving me ideas. Now I'm writing two books at the same time because I couldn't. I have ideas for two books, so I had to start for not losing anything.
Mhm.
One, it's going to have a background in Brazil. It's going to talk about a girl. Uh, she's uh, she's a lawyer, coincidence,
Mhm.
and she's going to work against a huge multinational organization that is committing crimes in the country. The other one is a fourth book for hidden motives that I thought would be a trilogy, but I really needed to write one more. So I'm writing one more, telling the life of the psychiatrist after the crime is solved or not. With an author, you never know if it is the final solution, if it's the final key or not. And I think I will never stop writing. I have attention deficit with hyperactivity, and my mind, it really has ballerinas inside of it. I'm always thinking, I'm always having ideas and ideas, main of all when I'm in the shower. I don't know why.
Mhm.
Whenever I'm in the shower, I have the best ideas of my life.
That's funny because I do
Uh,
too. That's when it's like well, especially when I had children, it was kind of my quiet place, that I could really go and think. And so when I was showering, shampooing my hair, that's when I would think of all the things, that I need to do or whatever. So yeah, so you come up with these great ideas for books. So it's fabulous. Yeah.
it's not just for books. Sometimes it's great ideas for work. I think you are right. It's the moment I can relax. I can be with myself. I don't have kids, uh, but I have dogs. I have a noisy husband. I have clients calling me the whole day. So it's my moment of peace and loneliness. I think it's the best to produce.
Yeah, and I wonder too if it's the water, hearing the water, it kind of relaxes you, right? The water in the shower.
Yeah, I think it's something like to be back in the womb, to feel protected.
Oh, maybe that is true. Now tell us a little bit about yourself. What type of attorney are you?
I'm a corporate attorney, so
Corporate.
I deal with companies, with businessmen all day, and it's not too emotional. Thanks God, because I'm too Italian. I'm 100% Italian. My whole family is
Oh,
Italian.
you are
So we
Italian.
talk
Okay.
with our hands. We are passionate about everything. I couldn't work with family law, for example.
Mhm.
You would end up by killing someone. So corporate lies coder.
Yeah. Now, did you used to read when you were young? Did you used to read mystery novels yourself?
I used to read pretty much everything. I always loved a good story. And when I was too young and I couldn't read, my mom used to tell me stories. And I have an aunt that when she went to our house, the first thing I used to tell her was, please tell me a story. So she started to record stories for me and send for me. When I learned how to read, I became the most voracious reader. So I used to read everything, even books forbidden from my age, because I used to sneak in the library to hide myself, to read everything. And I always loved a good mystery, a good thriller. I love puzzles. And every good thriller has a puzzle to solve. So my mind could solve the puzzle, and I was so happy about that. That's what I want for my readers. I want my readers solving puzzles and to be surprised with the results.
You're brilliant. It's very interesting to hear that because I did the same thing when I was young. I used to read a lot of my grandmother would read a lot of love story type of books. I love love story books and my dad one time said, "Oh, what's she reading those books for? You shouldn't let her read those books." My mom said, "Well, she's reading. Let her read. We want her to read." And so that's what they definitely did. We have someone here
Uh,
that says V that
uh,
says hi, I guess.
my mom is hearing us, but as she doesn't speak English, I feel comfortable.
Well, hi, mom. That's nice. It's
Oi,
nice.
mãe.
Yeah, it's nice that she
Uh,
did that. But you are
yeah,
brilliant.
she's
You truly.
supporting me. She's
Yeah,
supporting me.
yeah.
But my mother, she forbade me to read some books because one day she started to read one. She said, "Oh my God, no, it's not for your age. No, 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 you can't read this kind of book." So I had a friend who helped me to smuggle her books for my house, and I used to hide it everywhere.
Then that's funny. I know my mother would always say, "It's fiction. Just remember, it's not real." She would say
Yes.
that all the time. It's not real. Remember that it's not real. But yeah, it's fascinating. And kids, I wonder, are getting away from books more. Because they're more on the. We do so much on the internet now and watch videos and stuff like that. And so I wonder if your books will ever go into. Have you ever thought about trying to get them produced into like a movie or anything?
I'm working on that because it's one of my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Almost all my readers comment and say it would be a great movie. It would be a great movie. So now I'm starting to deal with the idea of turning into a script and try something for the big screen. But I really would like kids to read more, not just wait for the movie, because the movie, as always, it's not like the book. The book is fascinating sometimes, and when we are going to watch the movie, it's a little bit deceiving, don't you think?
Yeah, I always like to watch. I always like to read the book first and then watch the
Yes,
movie. Yeah, because it's
and
fun
main,
seeing it on the screen, but the book is more in depth, isn't it? Yeah.
and yes, and there is another thing about books that I think it's magical, that we can form the characters the way we want.
Hmm.
So they look like you want the way you want them to look like. And on the big screen, sometimes they're it's not like I imagine.
That's so true. That's right. Because you think, oh, they're dashing, and then you look at them and like, oh, I wouldn't go out with him.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I totally believe that. I think the books just it helps you to be able to express your imagination, and you're kind of being creative as you walk with the author as they're writing. As you're reading, you feel like you're kind of walking with them as they're creating this. So it's a very special time. And that's why we do this show, Author's Corner, and we have all different types of books on, because I really think for us to be creative, we need to read books. We need to be able to get into books. I read a lot of self-help type of books, but I do think that a fantasy, the fiction, is really a great thing.
it's hard to remember a book that I didn't like because whenever I open a book, for me, it's like opening a magic place.
Hmm.
Self-help, fiction, biographies, doesn't matter. It's a new world. And I don't know how do you feel about it, but I do feel I know the author and we are friends.
True.
It's like to have a new friend every book I open.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And the other thing is too, there's nothing better than a brand new book. You know what I mean? You go to the bookstore and you buy the book, or you send to Amazon and you get the book in the mail and you get it and you open it up for the first time. That brand new, it's like no one has read this before, even though you know that it's a bestseller and lots of people have read this book, but you just feel like it's your own little, your special place. So yeah, I think a book, there's something about that.
Another kind of book that I love to go to libraries that sell old books because I can imagine the person behind it reading the same words I'm going to read now. It belonged to someone, and it has that old smell of book. Nothing like smelling books. It sounds a little bit crazy.
No, well,
I
I
love
get
to
that too,
smell
because
old books.
you see the bent pages, where they stopped reading and they bend the corners of the book, things like that, or and sometimes they write things in the books, use the little.
I do. I underline my whole books. I underline phrases. Even when I'm reading ebooks, I use that underliner to underline the phrase I liked. I really underline. I'm a savage.
Yeah.
I, I really destroy my books because it's I took take notes and things like that. So I'm a savage.
Yeah, something hits you, and you want to be able to remember that. So let me ask you about how many books do you actually read? Like, do you read a lot of books yourself?
Oh my God, I can't tell you how much. I think I have 500 in my shelf that are not legal books, of course. Legal
Hmm.
books is another department. I think I have around 500 in my shelf. But I've been a lot to libraries, borrow books,
Hmm.
uh, book clubs when I was younger and I was at college and I couldn't afford so many books. I used to rent books on book clubs, and so I really don't know how many books I read during my 52 years of life.
Yeah.
A
But
lot.
do you try to read like during like a month or a week? Do you read a couple books a month, or you?
I don't put a goal
Yeah.
because I don't have much time, but I used to read at least 1 hour before going to sleep.
Hmm.
It's the best time for me. The house is quiet. The dogs are sleeping. My husband is sleeping. So it's the time I have for myself. And I don't read a book. I don't start a book and finish. I start one, two, three, and depending on my mood on that day, I want a summer one, a more romantic one, a funnier. I choose according to my mood on that day.
No, that's funny because I used to do that too. I would have several books going at one time when I was young, reading, and yeah. So I think that's true. It's depending upon your mood, where what you want to get into. But yeah, that's very interesting. But I don't read as much as I used to, and which is bad. And then I listen to now a lot to the audiobooks. I tend to go a lot to the audio now, and the e-readers. Not as much as getting the hardback, but our world is shifting a little bit there. Have you done any of your books on the audio?
Not yet. I think about doing, but I'm still a very active lawyer, so I work hard every day, and I don't have much time for everything I would like to know to do in this life.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
work like 10 hours a day. I write for 1 hour, and I have to advertise my books. It's pretty much complicated to do everything.
Oh yeah, I totally understand that. But it's wonderful. They sound very wonderful. I haven't read them, and but I think maybe it's something I would very much like to do. So I will, maybe some summer reading.
I'm going to offer you one of my books and I'm going to sign it for you.
Oh, you're
You
very
just have you just have to choose.
okay. Well, that might be hard for me to do that because they all sound so beautiful. They sound great. So let's tell everyone how we can get a hold of you and how we can share the books with everyone. So here's your website, and I'm going to spell it so everyone has it. It's Agavazzoni.com. So if you go on there, all of our books are there. You can order the books straight from there, or you can go on Amazon. They're all on Amazon too. So, so that would be great. So again, it's Agavazzoni.com. That's her website. So it is great having you here. Are there any last words you'd like to share with our audience?
Sorry, there was a connection problem.
Sorry.
I couldn't hear your
Are
last
there
word.
any last words you'd like to share with our audience today?
I would like to thank your audience for being patient with me. I talk a lot.
No, no,
And
not at all.
thank you very much for having me, Cece. It was a great pleasure.
It is wonderful having you. Well, again, her books, it's called The Sketches of Life, Laura's Journal, and The Brilliant Game. And so you can find them on her website, which is here. It's Agavazzoni.com or on Amazon.com. Very interesting books. They're mysteries. They really get you going and help kind of lose you within the pages. So it's a wonderful thing sometimes to be able to do that, kind of escape a little bit. But we want to thank you so much for being on our Author's Corner and meet the author. And you're a very interesting lady. I wish you every bit of success, and looking forward to the next two books that you're going to be having come out here. And who knows, you're going to, I just see that you're going to be doing many, many more books as you move forward in your life. So thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you, Cece.
Very nice having you. Well, everyone, the time goes by very quickly. You're listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. This is the Author's Corner. Meet the author. We had a wonderful author on here today. Beautiful books. Definitely some thrillers, which I think would be kind of fun to read this summer. So if you want to email me, my email is goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. Our website is goingsolomedia.com. I am Cece Shatz, the Doyenne of Relationship Building. Love you very much, and thank you so much for tuning in to us each and every week. We appreciate it. So bye for now. We'll catch you next time.